AITA for not wanting to adopt my dying ex-girlfriend's child? I, 31M, met my ex-girlfriend, 29F, on a dating app 7 years ago. She had a son, 6 months at the time. She was with multiple guys and ended up pregnant. Still doesn't know who's the bio father, but it wasn't that much of an issue since she seemed like a great person and we had a lot in common. After few weeks of chatting and talking online, we went on a first date and had a great time. After that we just started hanging out whenever she could, and shortly after she introduced me to her son. Few months into our relationship, we moved in together to save money, since both of us were renting at the time. I started helping take care of her child whenever I could and we really grew fond of each other. He even started calling me Papa, and we just went along with it since my GF didn't mind. Almost 5 years into our relationship, she told me that she wants to break up because I became boring and not an active person like I used to be. We used to go on hikes and travel around the country on weekends, and that I worked too much. It was a rough time after that and I had a hard time accepting it, although not as hard as having to explain a 5-year-old that he'll no longer be seeing his Papa, but I managed to get over it after a few months, found a better job that allowed me to work remotely and had a lot of free time, so I managed to explore a few other countries. Few days ago, I got a call from my ex. She said that she is sick and is in hospital. They removed one of her breasts, but recently they found a tumor in her other breast and will need to have it removed as well. She is scared that she might die if it doesn't work out and asked me if I would be willing to become her son's legal guardian and adopt him, since she has no one else to ask. I live a different lifestyle now, travel a lot and invest in myself, so I told her that I can't do that. She told me that her son misses me and would love to see me, but I said no again and she started crying and calling me names, before cutting the call. I talked to my sister and parents about this and they told me that it's a messed up thing to refuse it, after all those years spent with them. I feel like trash now. AITA for not wanting to adopt my dying ex-girlfriend's child? Update. Thanks everyone for the responses and messages. Quite a few have asked for an update, so I thought I'd make a quick one. After I made the original post, I've spent a bit thinking. I reached out to her friend, trying to get some info about. She didn't want to say much and told me that I should come over. I ended up going. Ex and her friend were there, kiddo was at school. Honestly felt completely different than I was expecting to feel. Anyways, she had the other breast removed, quickly found out that it spread out and she was just starting with her therapy. Ex suggested to stay until kid returns. I remember what you guys said, but I just couldn't do it. I stayed, because I just wanted to see. I guess some of you were right about him remembering me, or not. Walks in, says hi, and disappears somewhere, I guess his room. Walks back after a minute and starts staring at me, Papa? Papa, and runs at me. Ex starts crying out loud, and I tear up, barely holding myself from crying. I don't know if it's because of her crying or because of kiddo remembering. It was a great day. To cut it short, I started visiting her 2 to 3 times a week, but sadly, things were starting to get worse. Seeing her getting weaker and weaker, I decided to go through with the guardianship. Hired a lawyer, did tons of paperwork, interviews, investigation, and finally found the bio dad. Ex narrowed a list of people, and even without the DNA test, you could see from miles that kiddo was a mini version of one of the guys. Both ex's mom and bio dad signed the consent and waiver, but even if they didn't, they probably wouldn't have a chance to make a difference. After 2 months, judge made his decision and I finally became a legal guardian. Sadly, ex passed away, roughly 3 months ago. After which I started the adoption process, that still goes on. Had 2 court hearings so far, and another one will be in 2 weeks. So far, things went well, so hoping for the best. I know that I missed a lot of details, not sure if it would be important, but also due to the character limit, but I will be answering any questions you guys have, in the comments below.